It was a quiet morning in the city park, the kind of morning wrapped in the soft embrace of dew and sunlight. An old man sat alone on a wooden bench, his cane resting beside him and a tattered book in his lap. Today, however, the serenity of the park was interrupted, or perhaps improved, by the arrival of a young man. He was dressed impeccably, his crisp suit tailored to perfection, and his shoes polished to a mirror shine. Confidence rippled in his every step, and he carried himself with the air of someone destined for greatness, or at least someone who thought so. The young man stopped, glanced at the old man skeptically, and eventually decided to sit at the other end of the bench, putting a noticeable distance between them. He made no effort to greet the old man, too busy scrolling through emails and messages on his sleek smartphone. But the old man wasn't offended. Instead, he smiled, chuckled softly to himself, and muttered in a voice raspy yet kind, "In a rush, are we?" The young man glanced up briefly, startled to hear the voice, but uninterested in sparking conversation. He gave a curt nod and replied, "Always busy. Too much work, no time to rest." The old man chuckled again, this time louder, as if the response amused him deeply. He tapped his cane lightly against the ground and leaned back, staring at the clouds through gaps in the oak leaves. "Rest," he said, almost wistfully. "I used to think rest was for the weak. You seem to believe the same." The young man furrowed his brow, sensing that the old man was trying to teach him something, which unnerved him. "Well, things won't get done by resting," he said defensively. "Success comes through hard work, focus, and hustle." The old man turned to face him for the first time, his gaze steady and sharp beneath the brim of his hat. Yet his smile remained, warm and almost fatherly. "You're not wrong," he said slowly, "but success without a moment to breathe, well, it has a way of slipping through your fingers, like sand." The young man hesitated, his phone still in his hand, yet the old man's words intrigued him. He lowered the device slightly and asked, "And how would you know? You don't look like someone who chased success." The old man laughed, the sound deep and hearty, unexpectedly filling the stillness of the park. "How would I know? Ha! Boy, I chased success for 40 years. He gestured dramatically with his cane as if recounting a grand tale. "I ran companies. I made deals that turned pennies into fortunes. I thought myself invincible. But in the end," his voice softened and his smile faded, replaced by a faint sadness. "In the end, I was sitting alone on a bench like this one, wondering if any of it was worth it." The young man froze, the phone now forgotten in his lap. For reasons he couldn't explain, he was struck by the old man's words. "Not worth it?" he asked, his voice quieter now. "Why?" "Because success, without people to share it with, without a heart that remembers kindness and gratitude, becomes just another possession that weighs you down instead of setting you free." The silence between them grew heavy. Somewhere in the distance, children's laughter echoed, but the young man hardly noticed it. He looked at the old man, the weight of his words settling on his shoulders. In his chest, he felt a stirring, a faint, uncomfortable realization he'd been avoiding for months, years even. "You think rest will teach me that?" he asked skeptically. The old man shook his head, smiling once again. "No," he replied, "but rest gives you time to listen, to your heart, to the people around you. Without moments of quiet, you'll miss the songs worth hearing." The young man rubbed his chin thoughtfully, glancing at his phone before slipping it into his pocket. For the first time since the start of his busy day, he leaned back against the bench, allowing himself a moment to breathe, to simply exist in the peaceful embrace of the park. The old man watched him out of the corner of his eye, amused but proud. He picked up his book and opened it, settling back into his usual routine. The two of them didn't speak again for a long while, but a comfortable silence stretched between them, as if something unspoken had passed from one to the other, a gift, simple yet profound. When the young man finally stood to leave, he turned to the old man and said, "Thank you." "You're welcome," the old man replied, tipping his hat slightly. As the young man walked away, his steps were slower, his posture less rigid. He didn't check his phone. Instead, he looked up at the sky, marveling at the way the sunlight filtered through the branches of the oak tree. The old man smiled to himself and returned to his book, content in the knowledge that today, his role wasn't to run companies or make deals, but simply to remind one busy soul of what truly mattered.